we are not part of Earth. We're becoming in a constant, continuous way. And then as we are in the middle, growing as we are, we're still doing the same thing as babies. We are still becoming Earth. We're eating, drinking, being, and laughing, and doing all those things babies do. And then we're at the end of the spectrum. We're doing the same thing. We are becoming Earth. People call it dying. We're becoming Earth. But you see, on both ends of the spectrum is, excuse me, that when babies come in, they learn to walk and talk, and they see friends, special friends, make believe friends, and everybody goes through that to a certain age. Then they tell them about reality, right? And then you get to the other side of the spectrum, and the old people are seeing friends that they experienced in life. They're seeing their ancestors. So this is an indigenous way of being without inducing medicine to stop that transition into the next dimension. So you're greeting your future because your ancestors have gone into the future. So this is who we are. This is why in a lot of indigenous peoples we respect the elders, because we know that they are in the future. And if we are looking to the future, then we understand that very well, viscerally, with a full spectrum body. Basically, it's our marrow. When we are transitioning on the other end of the spectrum from the childhood, the baby, the infant child, to the adult, to the older adult, and then when we're ready to move on to the next dimension through either Alzheimer's or dementia, the people who are traditionally involved naturally are allowing this to happen, that the elders are seeing and talking and conversing with those who have already gone into the future, their ancestors, our ancestors, so that the transition is more normal. But in a Western society, you're given psychoactive drugs to prevent that, because it's not normal for the society, because that's viewed as diseased. So there's a difference in how we view natural as to compared to a civilized human being, how we work with the mechanics of how a person gets old and they are non-productive. But we constantly are in continuum with the elders who have gone into the future. And that's why we treat the elders as much as we can in an honorable way here, because that's basically our library, or our treasure of how we would like to go. They've set the example, just as the earth has set the example, because as you know, they are our oldest ancestors, and we must treat those older ancestors as our elders, which is earth.
Beautiful, lovely, lovely. And I loved also what you said before, is that we are not just on the planet, like that there's this kind of mechanistic worldview that there's a human being on the planet, but it's a whole system. And this was beautiful. And maybe staying a little bit with the elders, like what's your or what are practices through which we can be in relationship and in maybe in communication with the elders, and the ones that went before us. Maybe
Mhm.
there are specific practices or ways how to establish that kind of inner connection or relationship.
Well, I'm not a shaman or a fortune teller or a spiritual guru or any of these things, Thomas, but I do realize they're inherently in all of us. Our DNA is of those same elders. So to deeply see within when you close your eyes, as you know, it's a vaster universe than when you open your eyes.
Mhm.
So when I say ancestors, I can actually see ancestors in the trees, in the rocks. And the context of communication is the older language you have with Earth rather than technology. You're able to understand the intuitive values of what the Earth is saying rather than instinctual values of what technology brings to you as survivorship. One is living, one is surviving. So we develop a sort of this just panic-driven language to to treat trauma. But in the world of the worldview of indigenous folks, and I don't speak for all, is my experience is that the peace is within the earth, and that peace has always been changing, always, and we need to be, and we are in the rhythm with earth. So
Mhm.
we know the elements of earth are communicatable. They have communication always. It there's nothing that needs to be proven because we're not here to solve the mystery. We're here to accept it. And the difference
Mhm.
is between how we view is to solve the mystery in one end, and that's driving people crazy because there never will be an answer. And science and religion and politics and whatnot try to do that, where many indigenous peoples, or the indigeneity of all of us, indigeneity in all of us, understand that the intuition, the intuitive value is actually the communication, um, the means of communication of intelligence. And that's what all the others, non-anthropocentric beings, are. They have this value of being able to speak to us through those ancestors. And so the ancestors that we described, if you say that Native Americans, they do everything in circles, that's kind of true, but yet it's a colonial view because a circle means revolution,
Mhm.
round and around. But if you understand even deeper this value of what a spiral is, because we could see we clench our fist and we have a spiral. We know the spiral on top of our head, our fingernails, our fingertips, everything seems to be a spiral. And so there is no beginning and no ending in that so-called time concept. There is no beginning and ending. So we are on that. And through a friend of mine who said that we are on that continuum of a spiral, and we're walking into the future backwards. And once we walk into the future backwards, we understand that these ancestors, our ancestors, are gone into the future first, and we trust that. And so we we have we have trust in the future, not anxiety or angst that things are going to turn out bad or good, but because you can see where you've been when you're walking backwards into the future. So the ancestors are was always holding you. And the ancestors in this case, to me, is the earth. Earth holds you, gives you, cares for you every second of your life without question, always giving, never sharing, always giving to all life, not just to human beings, you see. And I think that is what we need to change the thinking, that to take the human out of the center. Because from what I'm hearing, if we put the human in the center, it's all indicating that we are lacking something and we're looking to extract those ancestors that have power, and that because we're missing that same recognition.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful. And you said something very lovely, many things, but one thing that stayed with me, especially was we are not here to solve the mystery, but to accept it. What a beautiful sentence. Wow, it's lovely. I love that. And so much resonates with me. That's lovely. Like how we put ourselves on top of the mystery by trying to solve it versus to bow down to the mystery and let us be taught by it. This is very lovely.